The winter weather outlook is here and available now on woodtv.com. Storm Team 8 has worked tirelessly to put together how they think this winter will go. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I'm News 8 digital anchor Luke Laster here from the Wood TV live desk. Joining me is Storm Team 8 to break down this outlook. Ellen Bacca, Bill Steffen, Terri DeBoer, Matt Kirkwood, and Emily Schuitema are all here on the call. Periodically, folks, throughout this stream, I will be taking viewer questions, so I'll be able to get those up on the screen, and the team here will be able to get those answered. So feel free to start firing those off whenever you'd like. Ellen Bacca is going to kick us off here, folks, with a few graphics, and then we'll dive in meteorologist by meteorologist to break down this season's winter outlook. Ellen, the floor is yours.
All right, so this is always a big thing that we pour hours and hours over, looking at the winter outlook and what we're expecting. And the reason why we have to spend so much time is because there's literally hundreds of variables that can change a winter outlook. Not to mention, those variables can change throughout the winter season. So not only do we want to look to see what's happening, we also want to keep in mind how likely it is that it's going to change from month to month. So that's the baseline. Now here's the big reveal. One of the biggest things that we're looking for this year is the fact that this season is likely going to be wetter than average. So we're expecting a wetter than average winter for us. And one of the reasons why is because of the La Niña. So I'm going to go ahead, Luke, and have you pop up the La Niña graphic and the precipitation one. This shows you basically what the jet stream does during a La Niña year. And every La Niña year is different. So we have to keep in mind what the storm track is going to do. But in general, if we average all La Niña years together, we typically get a wetter than average year in the Great Lakes. So this winter season, that is something that we're expecting. Now, along with that, we think of temperature. Now, looking at the La Niña impact on temperature, it's not quite as strong as it will be on precipitation. So if we look at how the jet stream is interacting with temperature, you can see that once again we have this dive over the Great Lakes, but there's not going to be this gangbuster cold 2014 year. Instead, a moderate La Niña sets the stage for wetter than average conditions and some changes from time to time, and some bigger months and some quieter months. So let's go ahead and look at the big takeaways. La Niña is the base, right, for us. So that's something that won't change. It looks like it'll peak for us November, December, and January. And in addition to that, we look at all these other factors and variables like Siberian snowpack and water in the Gulf of Alaska and how that changes. And with all of those additional factors in play, what we're thinking is wetter than average for the entire winter season. We're also anticipating that December will likely be a big snow month. We think that winter is going to come to play a lot sooner than it has the last couple of years, and it is already kind of flurrying outside. So that goes to increase our confidence. Along with that, we are expecting an active lake effect snow year for a few reasons. The last 2 years, we've seen almost no lake effect snow, but this year it looks like the stage will be set for more cold air blocking, which could set the stage for more lake effect snow for us. And we're also expecting, by the time all is said and done, pretty close to average snow totals, if not just a little above. And it doesn't look like winter should hold on for too terribly long. So those are the big takeaways for the big winter season. If you're like, okay, what does average mean? We have a graphic for that too. Here's a look at how much snow we typically see in a given year in Michigan. And you can see the clear snow belts from lake effect. Remember, the last 2 years, we didn't really see that happening because we didn't really see a lot of lake effect snow. But 2021, 2022, we think that the lake effect is going to come to play. So there you have it, the Storm Team 8 winter outlook. We have a lot of people, a lot of great minds that we pulled on, especially right here in-house. And then we've also looked at national research to see what we could find. So what do you think, Luke Laster? Do you have your snow brush ready?
I still need to hit the store and get one. I'm telling you. I got my little wimpy one from last year. I need to beef it up a little bit.
Not going to cut it. Not going to cut it. That's what this forecast calls for.
Hey, Bill, why don't you take us into our next section here and tell us what you have?
Well, first of all, this is a La Nina year, as we mentioned. It's the second year in a row that's La Nina, and that's characterized by cooler than average temperatures in the equatorial areas to the east, or to the west of South America. We're also looking at extensive Siberian snow cover, and that kind of correlates to the fact that we will have early snow here in West Michigan. Obviously, not much going on at the current time in terms of snow. We've had a little bit of snow off to the north, but not much down in the Grand Rapids area. And we typically don't see that. I think next week, temperatures will moderate once again. We should be back up to around 60 degrees. We'll be seeing temperatures here just a little bit above average for the early part of next week. But then I think we see a swing back to cold toward the end of the month. So right around Thanksgiving time, we'll see that Arctic air start to make an appearance here in West Michigan. Lake Michigan is very warm. The Lake Michigan water temperature yesterday at the mid-lake buoy, which is still out there, was still at 58 degrees. So cold air coming across that lake certainly has the potential for producing some significant lake effect snow. Now, last year was kind of interesting. While we were well below normal in terms of snowfall, we had most of our snow come during the month of February. February was 6 degrees colder than average. We had 30 of our 45 inches of snow in Grand Rapids that came during the month of February. Ironically, though, Chicago had above average snowfall last winter, and that was because the wind was more north when we had Arctic air, so the lake effect went down towards the south end of the lake and not here in West Michigan. We also had near average snowfall totals for Detroit and Flint, Saginaw off to the east of us. So right here in the middle, we didn't get much in the way of snow. So I do think we'll be at least at average, maybe a little bit above that in most areas. The average for Grand Rapids is about 74, 75 inches. And we typically get our first snows that stick to the ground during the month of November, and the snow doesn't really ease up here until late March or April. But all in all, I think we're going to see a good winter. I think we have a good potential for a great ski season. I think especially those areas off to the north that get more typical heavier lake effect snow, Kalkaska area over to around Gaylord, up across the UP. Matt could probably tell me more than me. He's the snowmobiler in the bunch. But we will certainly be seeing plenty of snow out there for people that like to do winter sports.
Hey, Bill, we have a few questions rolling in here first. I'll give you the first one here. This one from Browning. He says, when do you think we will see our first snowfall for Berry County / Hastings?
I think we'll be looking at either the third or fourth week of November, probably more like the fourth week of November. We had a stretch of 3 years in a row when the first significant snow came on November 27th. I remember that. That was back, I believe, in the 80s and 90s. And that's when we typically see our first snow. We still have an average high temperature of 40 degrees here at the end of November, so it's a little hard to get snow to stick for good here until we get into the month of December. But look toward that last week in November for first general snow across the area.
Browning, thank you for asking that question, and Bill, thanks for answering it. Let's hop now over to Matt Kirkwood. Matt, what do you have for us?
Okay, kind of parlaying off of Bill right there. Yeah, certainly a snow lover. What I recall about last winter, and we were in a La Nina, as you mentioned, this is our second year in a row. That's how frustrated I was. Usually, as a snowmobiler, you could, if you're willing to travel, you can go far enough north. You may have to go all the way up to Lake Superior shoreline, but you can typically find the snow. But I recall going up there in January, and even along the Lake Superior shoreline, there was such little or lack of lake effect snow last winter that you really couldn't find it. There was only about I'd say a 20 by 40 square mile radius that you could find for decent snowmobiling from Marquette eastward. That was highly unusual. I certainly don't expect that this year. Now, talking with Ellen and various Mets of Storm Team 8, winter's like a fingerprint. Everyone is different, but the one thing that kind of stuck out to Ellen and I and Bill as well is that in moderate La Nina years, there's typically 1 month that just far exceeds all the rest of them. And it looks like, breaking it down, a lot of times it can be in December. There's analog years, what we call it, where you look at certain variables in the forecast and you compare those variables that are similar with what we think is going to happen this year with the ones that have happened similarly in other years, and we call those analog years. And just taking a look at that, there's some healthy analog years that give us a really good snow in December. That's the winter of 2005 and 6, 8, 9, 17, 18, and those have really robust December snowfalls. And I think we're in a collaboration here that we think that's going to be very similar this year. Now, which will be a huge contrast compared to what we've had the previous 3 winters. Past 3 winters, Decembers have essentially fallen on their face, and we've had to wait a long time for snow to really kick in earnest. The only difference was, I believe it was 2018, we had a decent November snow, but then in December, I think we only ended up with a little over 3 inches worth of snow. One takeaway here is I think we will have a December with over 30 inches. And I think we may run the table with a white Thanksgiving, white Christmas, New Year's Day, New Year's Eve, and dare I say, Easter? No, I won't go that far.
Valentine's Day.
There you go.
Are you wish casting or are you forecasting?
A little both.
Let's go back now to another viewer question that we have here. This one for Ellen says, hey, Ellen, when you say winter shouldn't hold on too long, do you mean an early 2022 thaw?
Yeah, I think 2 things here. One, talking with the team, it's really common for us to see a midwinter thaw, just to start with. And that yes, you can find out places to shovel again. But I think with this coming winter, the fact that our second La Niña in the row here is going to peak in November and December and January and then ease out, we're not going to be seeing winter hold on into April and May like we have in previous La Niña years. It looks like we will get a little bit of snow potentially through March, as we talked about, and then we should have hopefully a thaw right on track. So in this particular year, it doesn't look like we're going to be seeing any big factors that push winter too terribly long. Of course, we can have some shorter term things like the NAO or the MJO that will extend winter maybe an extra week or 2 weeks, but nothing long term that should have us holding on into May flurries or anything like that. So that is the hope for this year. I mean, this potentially could be a really nice winter for us. Everybody wants snow in December, right? And then everybody wants it gone by May, if not April. So we're hoping that it will follow suit, especially with La Niña being stronger at the start of the season here and then ebbing out.
Ellen, thank you for answering that. Wilson, thank you for your question. Terri DeBoer, what do you have for us?
There we go. So I was tasked with taking a look at the weather, the winter so far that we have had in the 21st century. And Bill and Matt and I have been forecasting here through this entire century. And so it's been interesting to keep note of how decade by decade we have been so vastly different. In fact, I have this little handwritten chart. I'm not sure you can see this, but this is my little pencil scratching. Every winter, I make a little note here of how much snow. Put that into a grid so you can actually see the stats there on your screen, just to see how it all broke down. And we really started out the 21st century like gangbusters in terms of snowfall. The climate averages go on a 30-year cycle. And so we have 3 decades worth of data. If we go into the 21st century, we're now 1 year. This will be our 2nd year into the 3rd decade of this century. So it'll be interesting just to see how these 10 years play out from 2020 to 2030, or 2029, excuse me. But here's the interesting thing to note. The first 10 years of this decade, of this century, we had 3 winter seasons with at least 100 inches of snow, and another that came just a little bit short of that. And of those, in 2001 to 2002, we had 105.2 inches that year. And it included a 1-week stretch in December, from December 23rd to December 31st, where we had almost 52 inches of snow in an 8-day period. And I vividly remember that because there was one morning, I live southwest of Grand Rapids, and in this lake effect snow belt. There was one morning in there, was 2:00 in the morning. Jen, who's now 23, was a baby. She was sitting in her high chair eating Cheerios. My husband had to get the snowblower and snow blow a path so I could get from my driveway to 84th Street. It was just, it had snowed that much overnight. I mean, it was just incredible. And Bill and Matt, do you guys remember that stretch, that 8-day stretch?
Yeah, we set a record. I think that was our record snowiest December of 59.2 inches or something like that of snow. It was incredible, yes.
Yeah, it was really remarkable. And then we went through the next couple of years and had, again, a little above average snow. 2007, 2008, we had 107 inches of snow. The interesting thing there is we didn't get our first inch of snow that winter until December 30th. And so it was one of those where winter was late to start, but boy, once it got going, we got a lot of snow. And then 2008 to 2009, we had almost 105 inches. And that month of December, we had 52 inches. So that decade ended up with 88.4 inches. The next decade, we only had 1 year with more than 100 inches of snow. That was 116 inches in 2013 to 2014, including 82.3 inches through February 3rd, and the last inch of snow, April 14th. And so that decade had an average of 71.9 inches. And then, of course, this last year, we had less than 47 inches, 46.1 to be exact. So pretty interesting just to see how different each decade has been so far in the 21st century.
Terri, thank you for that. And then last but certainly not least, Emily Schuitema. Emily, what you got for us?
Yeah, so I kind of looked back at the past 30 years specifically, because every 10 years we reevaluate what's normal, which of course in West Michigan, winter terms, what is normal? Normal is hard to define, but every 10 years we kind of get a new normal from the National Center for Environmental Information. So they reevaluate kind of a climate baseline for us. And with that information, we can say, okay, this temperature that we're seeing this day is normal. This amount of snowfall for the year is normal or abnormal, which last year certainly was not normal. It was much less snowy than normal. So my project for this was kind of just to look back at the last 10 years and reevaluate how things have changed. So just a quick summary, we have a full report on it coming up at 7 p.m., which you can catch. But things have trended warmer in West Michigan for meteorological winter. That's just December, January, and February. Things also trended a bit wetter in West Michigan. So for Grand Rapids, actually, our annual snowfall over the past decade has been upped. Our new normal for snow is going to be a little bit higher starting this year. Interestingly, though, places like Lansing and Muskegon, their annual snowfall is actually a little bit less. So the big takeaway from my portion of the winter outlook is just that we have a new normal starting this year, and we'll just have to see how the winter plays out and see if we're kind of trending back to where things used to be or where they are now.
Emily, thank you. Hey, guys, we want to roll into some questions here. Now that everybody has had a chance to go, I've been looking through these, and my favorite one here, I think, that I found so far is from Mike. It says, what is the biggest disagreement between everyone?
I would say how much we love or dislike the snow. Matt, lover, I'm probably the biggest disliker.
That's true. That's fair. Because Emily loves this. We can see the snowflake on her sweater, and I'm like, I could do without it. I'd be happy if we had 1 month of snow and that's it. I'm the type that likes December snow, no more.
Yeah, Matt and I are the resident snow aficionados, I think, and maybe everyone else is not quite as enthusiastic.
It's funny, each year, my whole theme is, and it's my package also this evening, which airs at 10, 11 o'clock tonight, is you just have to find one activity that you really enjoy in the snow. And it can really change your outlook of how you feel about snow, your mental attitude, and not only that, it makes winter go a lot quicker. And I keep drilling that into Terri, but she will not listen. She's got her first class ticket to Florida every weekend. But truly, skiing, snowmobiling, snowshoeing. It could be cross-country skiing. It could be fat boy or bike riding through the woods. You just have to find it. And it really, it's just really neat because winter is just so different than the warm time of year, especially when you go out to the woods. It's just magical sometimes, especially after a fresh snowfall. It just transforms everything, and everything's so peaceful and crisp. Nonetheless, that's my take, and I fell in love with winter. I get it. I don't like driving in horizontal snow and icy roads either, or shoveling. 2,000 pounds.
Take a snowmobile with you, and then if you could just shovel our driveways for us, I think you might be able to win Terri and I over.
Deal.
So Matt calls it magical. Terri heads down to Florida.
I call it tolerable. It is beautiful, quite honestly, and I do want to give Matt a chance here to pitch getting snow tires on your car and how valuable that is, because he's on a soapbox every single year about snow tires.
Yeah, it doesn't matter if you're an all-wheel drive vehicle. Here's an example. My brother got a Audi TT all-wheel drive, and when he first purchased it, it had the summer tires on it, and he couldn't wait for winter because it's going to be the first car he's ever had with all-wheel drive, and he was super stoked. He's going to go through everything, no problem. Well, first big snowfall, he ended up hitting several curves. He's like, what on earth is going wrong? And, he's complaining to me. I was like, you don't have right tires on your car. You have these hard rubber compound tires, low profile. I was like, you have to get snow tires on. He's like, snow tires? I was like, just do it. And once he got those snow tires on, he thought he could go through anything. It's just amazing. You think about it. It's the same thing with football players, receivers. They put gloves on so the football sticks to your hand better. That's why you wear different kinds of shoes, track shoes, golf shoes, whatever. The only thing that makes contact with the pavement or the elements is your tires. And when you have a softer rubber compound made for snow, it's amazing. It makes a huge difference. And again, it doesn't matter if it's all-wheel drive or two-wheel drive. It's huge.
So in other words, get your winter tires, people.
I highly recommend it. And another thing is people don't like to do it because they're like, oh my gosh, it's expensive. But the thing is, when you buy snow tires, you're saving the tread life on your other tires, so it kind of balances out over time.
All right, Mike, thank you for that question. We got another one here from Kathy saying, is it possible we can have a green Christmas?
Yeah, that's certainly possible, but with this pattern shaping up, I certainly put my money on a white Christmas this year.
Kathy, thank you for that one. Let's move over. We got another one here from Jack. Get that one up out on the screen. Do you think ice cover on the lake will be greater this year than previous years?
I think so, absolutely. Just because we'll have a better chance of seeing some of those blocking patterns set up, which means a longer span of potentially colder conditions. So that would favor more ice coverage. Actually, Matt and I were just talking about this afternoon, and I was like, hey, Matt, will you just, take another glance at some of the last several years and show us what you got? And so, Matt, I don't know if you want to read off these stats about lake ice, but it's pretty interesting. But short answer, yes, I do think that we're going to have more ice this year.
Yeah, last year, the average Great Lakes ice is about 53%. And last year, we certainly were below that, we were at 46%, right around there. I was kind of surprised at that, as actually the year before, we had even less ice. Here's what I found the most interesting take on it all. The past 12 years, 8 have had less than average ice. But I think this year, just like Ellen was alluding to, with the blocking patterns, you can really bring down that Arctic air. And if it's accompanied with not much wind, that's when you really build ice on the Great Lakes. So I would certainly imagine we're going to at least reach average this year. And what a fun thing to do. I don't know if anybody's ever done it, but head out to the lakeshore and check out the ice along the beach. It's just beautiful when the ice starts forming.
Jack, thank you for that. We got another one from Rick here saying, You know, they must have been watching our stream yesterday, Bill. What do you think is the potential for a blizzard like in 1978 or a major ice storm?
Well, that's certainly possible. We have an above-average precipitation winter ahead for us, and with the storm track being southwest and northeast, that's certainly on the table. Of course, those events are fairly rare. And when I think of big blizzards here, I think of 67, 78, and then 2011, the Groundhog Day storm. So that's only 3 that we've had over a 50-year stretch here. So they don't come very often, that magnitude, but that's certainly something that's possible in this pattern.
Hop over to this one from Kyle, saying, what does southern Michigan going to get this year in terms of snow, or what is that looking like? This one from Kyle.
Southern Michigan, was that the question?
Yep.
Okay. Well, I think all of us are in agreement that we're going to be close to average, if not just a little greater than average in terms of snow. So I don't know, Luke, if you can pop up that graphic again with what like a typical average is. So it depends on southern Michigan. If you're further away from the lakeshore, you're not going to see those snow belt areas as much because you don't see as much snow when the wind is out of the northwest as, say, spots like South Haven. But if you live in those snow belt areas, we're talking 80, 90 inches of snow. And as you go a little further inland, spots like Lansing, for example, on the southern side of Michigan, probably closer to about, I believe, 40, 50. So it depends a lot on how close you are to the lake. I don't know if anybody else has any other thoughts on that, but that's kind of my takeaway.
Kyle, thank you for that question. Ellen, thank you for the answer. We got one here for Emily. This one, hey Emily, how much snow will Western Campus get this year?
Western Campus specifically, yeah, I think the same thing as what Ellen just said. Sometimes when you set up a little bit farther away from those snow bands, you don't get quite as much. But we're still trending toward the average or just slightly above average snowfall. So more than last year is what I would say to that for sure. Last year was such a dud. But I think we're going average or just slightly above, even for Western Campus too.
Josh, thank you for that question. Emily, thanks for answering. Guys, is there anything else that you'd like to add here?
I guess I would just like to say that, especially with last year being so dismal and we had a couple of, dud years in terms of snow, I'm concerned that maybe a lot of people aren't making those same precautions and preparations that you would in a typical year. We kind of joked around about it at the beginning of this live stream, Luke, that you don't have that snow brush yet. But I mean, in all seriousness, as soon as you see the snow brushes and the snow gear that's out there, make sure that you have your car fully equipped, because you don't want to be somebody that waits until the 11th hour when we're finally forecasting something within 24, 36 hours, and then you just can't find it. Right? We have the supply chain interruptions because of, what's been going on, the movement of goods. And so, make sure you get that supply of salt, keep a couple of bags in your garage so that you're ready to get the sidewalks ready to go. Make sure you have your gloves and mittens and coats for the kiddos and boots and those sorts of things, the snow brushes, the scrapers. If you do have a generator at your house, if we do end up with a pretty decent snow, Thanksgiving or shortly thereafter, I'm looking out the window here at my house. We still have a lot of foliage on the trees. Those leaves aren't likely to drop so quickly. So we really could be looking at a situation where we get some prolonged power outages. And that could come along with if we get our first heavy snow or an ice event without the leaves losing, the trees losing the leaves. So I would just say, make sure you have a plan, put one of those winter survival kits in your car, in every car that you have. If you have kids that maybe you just started to drive, Matt, make sure they're ready and know what to do just in the event that we do get something, because this year, winter really is going to be serious business, more serious business than it has been in years past.
I'd like to add on to that as well. Great advice, Terry. It's something you should include in your kit, which I've noticed the past few years, which I think is brilliant. They make these battery starters, these mobile battery starters. They're about the size of my hand, and you just click it on your dead battery, hit a button, boom, it starts your car right up. It's amazing. My father and I actually used it several miles offshore when his battery went dead on his boat, but you can use it as well to start your car battery when it's dead in the winter. It's pretty amazing little ingenious device.
I think the last thing that I just kind of want to add is the fact that, like Matt said, like Bill has showed us with his experience, like every winter really is different, and every winter does have some wild cards and some curveballs that it throws us. But just like we poured a lot of time and energy into making this forecast, we'll continue to be watching very closely the day-to-day forecast. And when it comes to a winter event, especially a big snowfall event, you want to watch as that cold system plays out, because things can change very quickly, but we'll be on top of it, and we'll always try to do the best for you. Believe me, no one wants to be more right about a forecast than a meteorologist. So if ever you want to know what's happening, what's coming your way, tune in. We really are going to try to give you all the resources like we have in years past, because the winter is crazy in West Michigan. So just a reminder that we're here every day, always tracking.
And to add to that, Emily, Scott, and myself, we will religiously work at the snow conditions report, which will begin in December through the winter to help you get prepared, whether you're hitting the roads or heading wherever you're heading to take advantage of the snow activity that you want to. We want to make sure you're prepared for that, and we'll have it weekly throughout the winter.
Bill, Emily, Matt, Terry, Ellen, thank you for taking some time here for this Q&A session. Folks, the winter weather outlook is attached to this article. It'll take you over to woodtv.com. That is live on woodtv.com as we speak. Folks, thanks for watching. Again, Storm Team 8, thank you. This has been a look at the Wood TV live desk, folks. Stay warm out there and have a great night.